She woke up married to a stranger. Hello friends. Welcome to another heart-touching story. Before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. And hey, tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? When Ava Mercer opened her eyes that morning, the first thing she noticed was the sunlight, too bright, too unfamiliar. The second was the ring on her finger, and the third was the man sleeping beside her. Her heart stopped. She wasn't home. She wasn't in her apartment in Chicago. The sheets smelled of cologne she didn't recognize, and when she glanced around, she saw a suit jacket draped over a chair, a hotel keycard, and a half-empty bottle of champagne on the nightstand. She tried to remember anything the night before, the faces, the voices, but her head pounded with confusion. The last thing she recalled was being at her best friend Lily's engagement party. After that, everything blurred into flashing lights, laughter and music. Then the man stirred. He looked up at her with tired green eyes, calm, confident, and far too familiar with the situation. "Good morning, Mrs. Knight," he said softly. Ava froze. "What did you just call me?" He sat up, rubbing his neck, and pointed to the small gold band on his finger. "We got married last night in Vegas." Her world tilted. "That's not funny. I wish I was joking," he sighed, pulling out a folded piece of paper from the nightstand, a marriage certificate. Her name was right there next to his. Ava Mercer and Nathaniel Knight. She stared at it in disbelief. "Who are you?" He looked at her for a long moment before answering. "Nathaniel Knight, CEO of Knight Industries." Her stomach dropped. She'd heard of him, everyone had. Billionaire, heir to one of the biggest tech empires in the country. But why her? Ava shook her head, stepping away from the bed. "This has to be some kind of mistake. I don't even remember saying yes." Nathaniel's expression softened, but his tone stayed calm, almost businesslike. "It wasn't exactly a romantic proposal. You were upset. Said you wanted to make a choice for yourself for once. That you were done being controlled." Ava blinked, fragments of memory flashing. A fight with her ex, tears, the crowded hotel bar. Nathaniel's quiet voice saying something about freedom and faith. But that couldn't be real, could it? She whispered, "This can't be legal." He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, it's very legal. And if you want out, there's a clause." "What clause?" Nathaniel's lips curved into a faint smile. "Stay married for 1 month. No annulment, no scandal. Then you can walk away with something that might change your life." Ava stared at him. "Why me?" He looked away, his jaw tightening. "Because, Ava Mercer, you weren't supposed to be there last night. And yet, you said the one thing no one ever said to me." "What did I say?" she asked. He turned back to her, eyes dark, intense. "You told me you didn't care who I was." And for the first time, Ava wondered if waking up next to a stranger was really an accident, or the beginning of something far bigger than she could imagine. Ava Mercer had faced awkward mornings before, late alarms, missed meetings, even the occasional walk of shame after a regrettable night out. But never this. Never a billionaire husband, a marriage certificate with her name on it, and a man who seemed completely calm about it all. As she stood in the middle of the hotel suite, wrapped in a blanket and disbelief, Nathaniel Knight buttoned his shirt with infuriating composure. He looked like a man who had planned everything down to the second, even this chaos. "I don't understand," Ava muttered, packing. "You're saying we're married and I can't get out for a month." Nathaniel slipped on his watch and glanced at her. "Correct." "Why?" she demanded. He took a slow breath, as if explaining to a child. "Because, Mrs. Knight, there are certain contractual complications. I was supposed to finalize a merger yesterday, a very public one. My company's board needed proof that I was stable, capable of commitment." Her eyes widened. "So you married a stranger to save a business deal?" "Not just any stranger," he said quietly. "You." Ava's laugh was short and disbelieving. "You didn't even know me." Nathaniel finally turned to face her, his expression unreadable. "You were honest with me when no one else was. Do you have any idea how rare that is in my world?" For a moment, silence filled the room. Ava could still feel the weight of the ring on her finger, a symbol of a mistake she couldn't just wake up from. "So what now?" she asked softly. "Now," Nathaniel said, "you move in with me. 1 month. Then we'll sign the dissolution papers and you'll be free to go with a 7-figure settlement." Ava blinked. "I don't want your money." He smiled faintly, almost sadly. "Then consider it compensation for lost peace of mind." She studied him, the cool, detached billionaire who somehow acted like this entire thing was an unfortunate business arrangement. But there was something in his eyes, something tired, something lonely. She hesitated. "What's in it for you, really?" Nathaniel looked away, his voice barely above a whisper. A month of silence from the world, a month to breathe. That afternoon, Ava found herself sitting in the backseat of a sleek black car, the Las Vegas skyline fatting behind them. She signed the temporary marriage clause, mostly because the alternative was a public scandal and a lifetime of explaining this mess to every gossip outlet in the country. The car pulled up to a private jet. Nathaniel didn't speak much during the flight. He worked silently, his eyes occasionally flicking toward her, studying her reactions like she was another complex algorithm he needed to decode. When they landed, Ava's breath caught. His mansion wasn't a house, it was a fortress, perched on the California cliffs overlooking the Pacific. The place looked like it had been carved out of the horizon itself. Glass, steel, and silence. "This is where you live?" she asked, stepping out. "For now," he said. "You'll have your own wing. Privacy won't be an issue." She followed him inside, but as soon as she crossed the threshold, she felt it. The air was colder here, controlled, the kind of quiet that wasn't peace, it was emptiness. Photos lined the hall, family portraits, newspaper clippings, business awards. So one frame was shattered, face turned down. Ava's curiosity burned, but Nathaniel moved quickly past it. Dinner that night was served by silent staff who seemed afraid to make eye contact. Ava barely touched her food. Nathaniel, however, spoke like nothing was strange about sharing a meal with the woman he accidentally married. "You're not what I expected," he said suddenly. She looked up. "What did you expect?" He smirked faintly. "Someone who would scream or sue me, not someone who's calm." "I'm not calm," Ava said. "I'm processing." He nodded. "Good. Processing is better than pretending." Ava studied him quietly, the way his fingers tightened around his glass when he was thinking, the way his eyes flickered toward the window every time thunder rolled in the distance. He was hiding something. She could feel it. Later that night, in her guest room, she sat by the window staring out at the crashing waves. Her phone buzzed, a message from an unknown number. "Get out while you can. He's not who you think he is." Ava froze, her breath catching. The message disappeared before she could screenshot it. She looked toward the hallway, where faint footsteps echoed, Nathaniel's voice murmuring to someone on the phone, low and sharp. She couldn't hear the words, but she caught one sentence before he disappeared into his study. "No one can know she's here." A chill ran down Ava's spine. Maybe this wasn't just a contract marriage. Maybe this was something far more dangerous. The ocean roared outside like a warning Ava couldn't quite understand. Every wave crashed against the cliffs as if trying to pull her away from the mansion, from the man, from the truth that was slowly starting to suffocate her. That night, sleep refused to come. The mansion was too quiet, too controlled. Even the ticking of the hallway clock seemed rehearsed. She lay awake until she heard it again, soft footsteps, deliberate and slow, passing her door. Ava held her breath. The footsteps stopped. Then a faint click, the sound of a locked door down the hallway. She slipped out of bed, her bare feet silent against the cold marble floor. The hall was dimly lit, lined with portraits that seemed to watch her every move. She followed the sound, stopping outside Nathaniel's study. The door was ajar just enough for her to see the glow of computer screens inside. Nathaniel sat at his desk, his face illuminated by data streams and encrypted files. But what caught her attention wasn't his focus. It was the name flashing repeatedly across the screen. Project Sarah. Ava frowned. The words meant nothing to her, but the look in Nathaniel's eyes, that intensity, that quiet desperation, told her this was no ordinary business project. Suddenly, his phone buzzed. He picked it up immediately. "She doesn't know anything yet," he said in a low voice. "No, I told you, I'll handle it. Just make sure the data stays buried." Buried data. Ava's pulse quickened. She stepped back too quickly. The floor creaked. Nathaniel's head turned. "Who's there?" Ava panicked and darted into the nearest hallway. Her heart raced as she pressed herself against the wall, waiting. Footsteps followed, slow and sharp, then silence. She counted to 10 before retreating to her room. Her hands trembled as she locked the door behind her. When morning came, Nathaniel was back to his calm, unreadable self, as if the night before had never happened. "Sleep well?" he asked over breakfast. "Fine," Ava lied, watching him stir his coffee. "You were up late." He didn't look at her. "Work never ends." "Project Seraph?" she asked, her tone casual but deliberate. Nathaniel froze for a fraction of a second, just long enough for her to notice. Then he smiled faintly. "You must have dreamed that." Ava's stomach twisted. He was lying. After breakfast, she wandered through the mansion, pretending to admire the artwork, but her mind was spinning. Every room felt like a museum of secrets, too perfect, too arranged. Then she found it, a locked door at the end of the east wing, old, unpolished, and completely out of place in the otherwise pristine house. She tried the handle, locked. Ava leaned closer, listening. Nothing, but something about the door felt different, like whatever was behind it wasn't supposed to exist. Later that day, the housekeeper, an older woman named Marin, quietly slipped Ava a key while clearing the table. Her wrinkled hands trembled slightly. "Be careful, Mrs. Knight," she whispered. Some doors in this house shouldn't be open. Ava's heart pounded. Why are you giving this to me? Maren looked over her shoulder nervously. Because he's not the man he pretends to be. Not since her Ava asked, but Maren didn't answer. She simply turned and walked away, muttering a prayer under her breath. That night when the mansion fell silent again, Ava crept down the east hallway. The key fit perfectly. The lock clicked open. Inside was darkness and the faint scent of lavender. She found a light switch and froze. It was a bedroom, elegant, untouched. The bed was made, the air faintly perfumed, as if someone had just stepped out moments ago. But what made her blood run cold were the photographs on the dresser. A woman smiling, radiant, her eyes soft and kind. And standing beside her in every photo, Nathaniel. Ava's fingers trembled as she lifted one frame. On the back, in delicate handwriting, were 2 words, "Forever yours." Then she noticed something else. A newspaper clipping pinned beside the mirror. Tragic death of Alina Knight, tech mogul's wife lost at sea. Ava stumbled backward, her heart racing. His wife. She remembered the broken photo in the hallway. The one Nathaniel had turned face down. Her mind whirled. Why would a man who lost his wife marry a stranger overnight? Unless a soft voice behind her made her free. Curiosity, Nathaniel said quietly, standing in the doorway, is a dangerous thing, Ava. She turned slowly, her heart hammering. His eyes were dark now, no longer calm, no longer polite. How long have you been standing there? She whispered. Long enough, he replied, to realize I underestimated you. Ava swallowed hard. Why didn't you tell me about her? Nathaniel's jaw tightened. Because she's the reason you're here. The words hit her like thunder. What do you mean? He stepped closer, his gaze unreadable. You remind me of her, Ava. Too much. The same eyes, the same questions, the same need to know the truth even when it destroys you. Her voice broke. Nathaniel, what happened to your wife? He looked away, out toward the ocean, where lightning flashed across the dark horizon. She died, he said finally. But not everything that's dead stays buried. And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving her in the cold silence of a ghost's room, holding the photograph of a woman whose face looked hauntingly familiar. The mansion felt different now, the air heavier, the shadows darker. Every corner whispered Alina's name. Ava couldn't unsee that smile in the photograph, so gentle, so alive. And yet she was supposed to be dead. That night, Ava couldn't sleep. Nathaniel's words kept echoing in her mind. She died. But not everything that's dead stays buried. What did he mean by that? At dawn, she wandered the gardens outside, desperate for air, for answers, for anything that made sense. The morning mist rolled over the cliffs, swallowing the world in gray. Then she saw it. A small, weathered gravestone near the edge of the property. Eleanor Knight, beloved wife. Gone but never forgot. But there were no flowers, no signs of mourning. Just silence. Ava knelt down, brushing dirt off the engraved letters, her throat tightening. And that's when she noticed something odd. The soil looked freshly turned. Her breath caught. Someone had been here recently. Mrs. Knight. A soft voice whispered behind her. It was Maren, the housekeeper, clutching a basket of roses. Her eyes were red, tired. You shouldn't be here, Maren said quietly, glancing toward the mansion. He doesn't like anyone near this spot. Ava looked up, her voice trembling. Maren, what happened to her? To Alina. The woman hesitated, then sighed. The sea took her, or that's what the police said. But some of us never believed that. What do you mean? She was terrified before she disappeared. Said she found something Nathaniel was hiding in his company. Then, one night, a storm came and she was gone. No body, no goodbye. Ava's stomach twisted. You think he? Maren shook her head quickly. Don't say it, not here. The walls have ears in this house. Before Ava could ask more, Nathaniel's voice echoed across the courtyard. Calm, commanding. Ava. Maren froze, then whispered urgently. Please, Mrs. Knight, for your own sake, stop asking questions. Ava stood, brushing dirt from her hands as Nathaniel approached, tall, collected, unreadable. Couldn't sleep? He asked, his tone light but his eyes sharp. Just needed some air, Ava said, forcing a smile. His gaze lingered on the gravestone behind her. Alina always liked this view. Peaceful, isn't it? Ava nodded, her heart racing. It is, feels alive. He gave her a strange look, then offered his hand. Come, breakfast is ready. But Ava hesitated before following. Just as Nathaniel turned, she saw it faint footprints in the mud. Small, bare, fresh. That night she returned to the locked east room. The scent of lavender was stronger now. Something felt different. The mirror above the dresser was fogged, as if someone had just breathed on, and scrawled across the glass in shaky letters were 4 chilling words. She's not really gone. Ava stumbled back, her chest tightening. The door slammed shut behind her by itself. She turned, pounding on it. Nathaniel, Marin someone. Then through the faint hum of the wind, she heard it. A voice soft, broken, almost human. "Help me." The whisper came from behind the mirror. Ava's hand shook as she reached toward it, pressing lightly against the glass. It was warm. At that exact moment, the lights flickered, and from the hallway came the sound of footsteps, fast, angry. Nathaniel's. Ava turned to run, but the mirror cracked, splitting her reflection in half. And in that fractured reflection, she saw it, a woman's face behind her. Elena, smiling. Ava didn't sleep that night, not after what she saw. Every time she closed her eyes, Elena's face appeared in the darkness. That faint, haunting smile burned into her mind. The mirror in the east room was now covered with a white sheet, but Ava could still feel its presence, like something was watching from the other side. The next morning, sunlight streamed weakly through the mansion's tall windows, but it did nothing to warm the place. Nathaniel was already seated at the dining table, sipping his coffee as if the world were perfectly normal. "You're pale," he said, not looking up. "Nightmares." Ava forced a small laugh. "Something like that." Nathaniel's gaze finally lifted, calm, calculating. "You should be careful wandering around at night. The house plays tricks." She froze. Did he know she'd been in Elena's room? "I couldn't sleep," she said softly. "Then maybe you shouldn't be here," he murmured, almost to himself. Before Ava could respond, his phone buzzed. He stepped away, lowering his voice, but one name slipped out. Dr. Heller. Ava frowned. That name again. She'd seen it once in one of the emails on his desk during their flight. A therapist, a partner, or someone connected to Elena. When Nathaniel left for a business call, Ava didn't hesitate. She hurried to his study. The door was locked, but the same key Marin had given her before worked again, this time with a faint click that made her heart pound. Inside, the room was a storm of secrets. Blueprints, old case files, and data drives cluttered the desk. On the monitor, a file titled Project Seraph Phase II. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Dozens of documents flooded the screen, research papers, medical charts, and videos labeled with Elena's name. And one word that froze her blood: neural replication. The footage showed Elena strapped to a medical chair, wires attached to her temples. Her voice trembled through the static. "Nate, please, this isn't what you promised." Then the video cut out. Ava's stomach twisted. Neural replication. Was he trying to copy her? Before she could read more, the door creaked. She turned. Nathaniel stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. "I told you," he said softly. "The house plays tricks." Ava's breath caught. "What did you do to her?" He stepped closer, his expression cold now. "She wanted immortality. I just gave her what she asked for." "You're lying," Ava whispered. "Am I?" Nathaniel walked past her to the desk and clicked on a different video file. The screen flickered, this time showing a lab. Monitors flashed with brain scans, and on one of them, Elena's face again. Alive, blinking. Ava stumbled back. "That's not possible." Nathaniel turned to her, voice calm but eyes hollow. "She's not dead, Ava. She's preserved. Part of her lives in the system. That's what Project Seraph was, the merging of consciousness and code." Ava's pulse raced. "You trapped her." "I saved her," he said sharply. "She was dying. I couldn't lose her. You wouldn't understand." Her voice cracked. "Then why marry me?" Nathaniel's jaw tightened. "Because the system chose you." A chill ran down her spine. "The system." He pointed to the screen, where Elena's digital face flickered faintly, her lips parting to form a whisper through the distortion. "Ava, run." Ava stumbled backward, her heart pounding. The lights flickered again, and suddenly every monitor in the room filled with Elena's image. Hundreds of versions, each whispering the same word in a broken chorus. "Run, run, run." Nathaniel slammed the power switch. The room went dark. For a moment, only the sound of the ocean filled the silence. Then, from the blackness, Nathaniel spoke quietly, almost pleadingly. "She's jealous of you, Ava. She doesn't want you here." Ava stepped back, tears burning in her eyes. "No, Nathaniel, you don't want her to let me go." Without another word, she ran through the halls, past the portraits, down toward the east wing until she reached the locked door again. But this time, the door wasn't locked. It stood open, the mirror glowing faintly in the dark. Elena's reflection waited for her. "He won't stop," the reflection whispered. "He never does." Ava trembled. "What do you want from me?" The reflection smiled sadly. "To finish what I started." And before Ava could move, the glass shattered outward, pulling her into a storm of light and memory. Ava woke to the sound of waves crashing, but not the real ones outside the mansion. These were different, muffled, distant, like echoes in a memory that didn't belong to her. She opened her eyes and froze. The world around her wasn't her own. The walls were the same color as Elena's room, lavender and white, but brighter, newer, alive. Sunlight spilled through sheer curtains, and a soft melody played from an old record player. She turned toward the dresser. A framed photograph smiled back at her. Alina and Nathaniel. Except this time, Alina's face wasn't just familiar, it felt personal. Ava stumbled to the mirror, gripping the edges. "Where am I?" she whispered. The reflection didn't match her movements. The woman staring back was Ava Mercer. It was Alina not. A scream built in her throat but never came out. Instead, the air shimmered, and suddenly she wasn't in the room anymore. She stood in a lab, glass walls, bright lights, the hum of machines. Nathaniel stood across from her, younger, full of hope. "We're changing the future, Alina," he said. "No more death, no more loss. Just consciousness, pure and eternal." "You're not changing the future," Alina's voice replied, her voice, though it came from Ava's lips. "You're destroying it. This isn't life, Nate, it's prison." The memory shifted again, flickering like a broken film reel. The same lab, but now everything was chaos. Sparks, alarms, a storm raging outside. Alina was strapped to the chair, tears in her eyes. "Don't do this," she begged. "Please. I can't lose you," Nathaniel whispered, pressing a code into the console. "You'll thank me when you wake up." Lightning flashed. A surge of light blinded her, and then silence. Ava gasped, stumbling backward as the scene dissolved into static. She found herself standing in the mansion again, but everything was wrong. The walls breathed like living tissue, the portraits blinked, and whispers floated through the halls, fragments of Alina's voice looping endlessly. "He promised forever. I didn't want this. Find the truth, Ava." Ava clutched her head. "Stop, please stop." But the whispers grew louder, overlapping until they became one voice, Alina's, soft yet commanding. "He didn't choose you by accident, Ava. You're me." Ava froze. "What?" "He rebuilt me, but something went wrong. My memories scattered, my body failed. So he searched for someone whose mind could anchor mine, and he found you." Tears filled Ava's eyes. "No, that's impossible. That's why you were drawn to him," Alina whispered. "Why you remember things you never lived. You're the second version, a living host." Ava backed away, shaking her head. "No, I'm real. I have a life. I had parents, a job. All implanted," Alina said sadly. "Fragments of data. You were created to carry me, but I escaped." Suddenly, the world flickered again, and Ava saw herself lying unconscious in a medical chair, tubes in her veins, Nathaniel typing frantically beside her. "Her neural patterns are stabilizing," he muttered. "She'll wake soon. I'll have her back." The screen above the console showed her name. Ava Mercer /subject 02, integration, 92%. Ava's knees gave out. "He made me." The air trembled, and Alina's figure appeared beside her, half light, half shadow. "You have to finish what I couldn't," Alina said softly. "End Project Seraph, free us both." Ava's voice shook. "How?" "There's a failsafe in his study. A red drive labeled Seraph Alpha. Destroy it before he uploads you too." The mansion shuddered violently. The world began to collapse, data breaking apart like glass. "Go," Alina shouted, "before he finds out you know." Ava ran through the shattering corridors, through walls turning into static, until she slammed back into her own body, gasping for air. She was back in the east room. The mirror was cracked, smoke rising from its frame. Her heart pounded as she looked at her reflection, and for just a second, she saw Alina standing beside her, whispering one last word, "Run." Then the mirror went dark. Ava turned, and there was Nathaniel, standing in the doorway, holding a small silver drop. His voice was calm, but his eyes were filled with madness. "Welcome back, Alina." Ava froze, her chest heaving, eyes locked on the silver drive in Nathaniel's hand. His words still echoed in her mind like a curse. "Welcome back, Alina." Her voice trembled. "Don't call me that." Nathaniel stepped closer, his tone calm, almost tender, but his gaze was ice. "You still don't see it, do you? You are her, Ava. You always were, just better." She shook her head, backing away. "I'm not her. I have memories, friends, a family." He cut her off. "Memories I gave you." His voice hard. "Every birthday, every moment, every tear you remember, all constructed, carefully written into your neural map. You think the world outside this mansion knows you? Search for yourself, Ava. There is no birth record, no college degree, no social security number. You don't exist." Her legs weakened. "You're lying." He took a slow step forward. "You said that before, so did she. Right before she died." Ava's pulse thundered. "Then why bring me back? Why me?" Nathaniel's jaw clenched. "Because I couldn't live with losing her. I tried to preserve Alina's mind, her brilliance, her soul, but the code wouldn't hold. It needed a new vessel, someone biologically compatible, someone whose brain patterns matched hers. And when I saw you that night in Vegas," he paused, a flicker of something painful crossing his face. "You looked exactly like her. But it wasn't just your face, Ava. The system recognized you. It said, integration possible." Ava's hands trembled. "So you trapped me inside her memories, made me some kind of machine. Nathaniel's eyes softened. You're not a machine. You're human. You became her, the best version of her. Free of disease, free of pain. Don't you see, Ava? You're proof that she lives on. Tears streamed down her cheeks. No, Nathaniel. I'm proof that you couldn't let her go. For a moment, something inside him cracked. His voice faltered. I did this for love. Ava whispered, love doesn't cage people. It doesn't recreate them. He lifted the drive, his tone cold again. Without this, you'll die. Everything that makes you, your consciousness, your heartbeat, it's all tied to the Seraph system. I can stabilize it or I can shut it down. She took a shaky breath. Then maybe you should. Nathaniel blinked, startled. You'd rather die. I'd rather be real. He stepped closer. You are real. I gave you life. She screamed, you stole it. The words echoed through the hall, sharp enough to cut through the silence. Nathaniel's hand trembled around the drive. For the first time, he looked uncertain. Then a faint voice crackled through the mansion's speakers. Aliner's voice. Nathaniel, stop this. His face went pale. No. You promised to let me go. The lights flickered. Ava turned toward the sound. Aliner. Destroy it, the voice whispered again, faint but firm. He's lying. The drive doesn't sustain you, it sustains him. Nathaniel shouted, don't listen to her. But Ava's instincts screamed otherwise. She lunged toward the desk, grabbing the lamp and swinging it hard, knocking the drive from his hand. It skidded across the floor. Nathaniel dove for it, but Ava was faster. She snatched the silver drive, her chest heaving. Ava, please, he begged, eyes wide. If you break that, you'll kill us both. She stared at him, the man who had stolen her life, her mind, her very identity. Then maybe that's justice. And with one motion, she smashed the drive against the floor. A burst of white light filled the room. Alarms blared. Every screen in the mansion flickered to life, showing Aliner's face, peaceful this time, smiling through the chaos. Thank you, she whispered. Now you're free. Nathaniel collapsed, clutching his head, screaming as the system overloaded. The walls shook. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Ava stumbled backward as memories, not hers, not Aliner's, but something new began forming in her mind. Real ones, her own. She gasped for air, collapsing to her knees as the mansion burned around her. When the smoke cleared, the screens went black. The system was gone. Ava looked up at the shattered mirror, seeing only her reflection, no ghosts, no whispers, no Aliner. Just her. And for the first time, she believed it. The fire alarm screamed through the mansion as smoke curled up the staircases, devouring everything in its path. Ava's lungs burned as she stumbled through the chaos, her eyes watering from the smoke. The once grand halls of Night Manor were now a maze of sparks, and collapsing wood, like the house itself, was trying to bury its secrets forever. She clutched the wall, coughing. I have to get out, she whispered to herself, forcing her trembling legs to move. Through the flames, she saw Nathaniel's figure crumpled on the floor near the desk, motionless. For a second, guilt flickered inside her chest. Despite everything, a part of her still saw the man who once looked at her like she was salvation. But that moment passed. He had built her, broken her, lied to her. Love had never been part of it, only control. She turned toward the main hall. The front doors were blocked by debris, flames licking the walls. Then she saw it, the side passage Aliner had once shown her in a dream. The mirror hallway. Ava ran. Every portrait she passed seemed to move, eyes following her, Aliner's face flickering faintly beneath layers of soot and smoke. The floor shook violently. Somewhere behind her, an explosion tore through the study, shattering glass across the marble. When she reached the hallway, the mirrors were all cracked, each reflection distorted, fractured, showing not her but versions of her. One crying, one screaming, one standing perfectly still. She whispered, what is this? And then she saw it, the final mirror at the end, glowing faintly blue, like a portal made of light. Aliner's voice echoed faintly, calm this time. You're almost free, Ava, but the world you think you know isn't real. It never was. Ava hesitated, tears streaking her face. What do you mean? Project Seraph wasn't about one mind, it was about many. The world outside, the people, the city, all simulations built to test consciousness stability. You're still inside the system. Ava's blood ran cold. No, that can't be true. You need to find the core, Aliner's voice urged. It's beyond that mirror. Only then can you end it, truly end it. The walls began to crumble around her. The mansion was coming down. Ava had seconds to decide, run into the fire or step into the unknown. She took one last look behind her, at the life she thought she'd lived, at the lies, at the love, at the wreckage of everything she had believed. And then she ran straight into the mirror. The light swallowed her whole. For a moment there was nothing. No sound, no air, no body, just a void humming softly like static. Then slowly her senses returned. She was standing somewhere else. A long corridor stretched before her, metallic, sterile, humming with machinery. Screens lined the walls, each showing versions of the same face, her face living different lives. One as a doctor, one as a teacher, one as a soldier. Hundreds of Avas, all unaware of one another. She gasped, "Oh my God." A soft mechanical voice echoed from the ceiling. Subject 2 reconnected. Simulation breach detected. She turned and froze. At the end of the hall stood Nathaniel, not the broken man from the burning mansion. This Nathaniel was clean, calm, wearing a white lab coat. His expression was unreadable. "Ava," he said gently, almost proudly. "You made it to the core, not many do." Her heart pounded. "You're alive. In here, always." He smiled faintly. "You were never meant to wake up, but you did. That means the experiment succeeded." Ava's voice cracked. "What experiment?" He stepped closer, eyes cold again, to see if a soul can recognize its own illusion. Her breath caught. "This isn't real." He smiled sadly. "Reality is what you believe, Ava, and you believed me." Ava stared at him, and for the first time, she didn't see the man who created her. She saw the monster who built 1,000 lives just to keep playing God. "No," she whispered, "not anymore." Nathaniel tilted his head. "Then what will you do?" Ava looked at the panels, at the countless lives flashing by. She saw one with her smile, laughing in a cafe, another watching a sunset, another crying over a broken mirror, all living in cages they couldn't see. She stepped forward, reached for the console beside her, and without another word, pulled the power core free. Nathaniel shouted, "Ava, no." The lights exploded. The floor trembled. The walls began to fade, and one by one, every version of Ava looked up from their worlds, aware for the first time. "Wake up," she whispered, "all of you." And then darkness. When Ava opened her eyes again, she was lying on a beach. The ocean roared nearby. Sunlight warmed her face. No mansion, no machines, no Nathaniel, just peace. She sat up slowly, her fingers touching the sand. It felt real. It was real. Or maybe, she thought with a faint, trembling smile, it finally was. The sunlight on her skin felt like a memory more than a sensation. Too warm, too perfect. Ava blinked against the golden glare, her body trembling as the sound of crashing waves filled the air. The beach stretched endlessly in both directions, pristine and empty. Not a single footprint but hers. She took a slow breath. The air tasted real, salty, alive. But after everything, she couldn't trust what her senses told her. Was this freedom? Or another layer of the lie? A faint whisper echoed behind her, carried by the wind. "You did it, Ava." She spun around, but no one was there. Only a flicker of blue light hovering above the sand, a residual echo of Eleanor's consciousness. Ava's heart pounded. "Eleanor, is it over?" The light shimmered, forming a vague human silhouette. "You destroyed the core, Ava." Every simulation collapsed, but fragments remained. Some minds couldn't wait, others refused to. Ava felt her chest tighten. Refused? Why would anyone want to stay? Because the truth hurts more than illusion. The words hung heavy in the air. Ava looked out at the horizon, and that's when she saw a city in the distance, half submerged in the ocean, buildings flickering in and out of existence, like ghosts of a world that once was. She began walking toward it, the sand soft beneath her feet. Every step made her memories blur, faces, laughter, pain, all dissolving into static. She realized with growing horror that even her own mind might still be part of the code. Hours passed, or maybe seconds. Time had lost meaning. When she finally reached the edge of the ruins, she found others, people wandering aimlessly, eyes vacant, some weeping, some smiling at nothing. Survivors of the collapse. One man approached her, his voice trembling. You're the one who shut it down, aren't you?" She hesitated. "I think so." He nodded weakly. "We remember things that never happened. Families, wars, lives, all fake. What are we now?" Ava didn't know how to answer. The truth clawed at her chest. They weren't survivors. They were data. Fragments of a failed experiment trying to remember what it felt like to be human. Then the ground beneath them shook. A wave of blue light surged across the ruins, spreading like a ripple. The man gasped as his body began to fade, pixel by pixel. The system is resetting, Alina's voice warned softly. It's trying to rebuild itself to start again. Ava shouted, "No, we ended it." "You ended one layer," the voice replied. "There are deeper ones, foundations written long before you existed." The realization hit her like a storm. This wasn't the real world. It was another simulation, a fail-safe backup. Ava looked around at the people dissolving, their screams blending with the wind. Tears streaked her face. "Then where's the real world, Alina? Where's home?" For the first time, the voice faltered. "No one knows anymore." The sky cracked open literally, revealing a dark void above, filled with stars and flickering code. The ocean rose violently, swallowing the city piece by piece. Ava ran toward the remains of an old skyscraper, climbing higher as the water surged below. She reached the top floor just as the sea devoured the world beneath her. Her reflection appeared in the broken glass, and for a split second, she saw herself not as flesh and blood, but as pure light. Lines of data forming the shape of a woman who refused to die. "You were never meant to wake," Alina's fatting voice whispered. "But maybe you were meant to rebuild." Ava pressed her hand against the shattered glass, her reflection flickering between human and digital. "Then I'll do it," she said, trembling but resolute. "I'll rewrite the world myself." Lightning split the sky as she leapt into the collapsing light, disappearing into the code, rewriting it line by line with every heartbeat. And in the silence that followed, somewhere deep in the void, something new began to form. A heartbeat, a sunrise, a beginning. The world was being rewritten line by line, pulse by pulse. Ava floated in the void, surrounded by rivers of code and light swirling like galaxies. There was no up or down, no time, only creation, raw and infinite. Every beat of her heart sent ripples through the digital sea, birthing fragments of sky, waves, and stars. She whispered into the emptiness, "Is this what it feels like to be God?" "No," a voice answered softly. "It's what it feels like to be free." Ava turned, and there, emerging from the light, was Alina. Not a flicker this time, but whole, glowing with a soft human warmth. Her form was woven from golden threads of data, but her eyes looked alive. Ava's throat tightened. "You made me." Alina nodded slowly. "Yes, but not alone. You were part of something bigger. Project Seraph wasn't meant to trap humanity. It was meant to preserve it." Ava frowned. "Preserve? The real world died long ago," Alina said. "Wars, disease, collapse. Humanity uploaded its consciousness to survive, billions of minds encoded into layers of simulated realities. But over time, people forgot what they were. They stopped waking up." Ava's voice broke. "So I'm just code." Alina stepped closer, placing a gentle hand against Ava's chest. "You're more than code. You're the first to evolve beyond it. You felt guilt, love, pain, emotions strong enough to break through every wall they built." Ava's eyes filled with tears. "Then what happens now?" "That's up to you," Alina said. "The system is collapsing. You can rebuild it, start a new world, one free of control, one where people can choose their reality. Or you can let it all fade, end everything." Ava looked out at the endless expanse before her, half light, half nothingness. Memories of her life, or the illusion of it, flashed before her eyes. The mansion, Nathaniel's lies, the love she thought was real. And then she remembered the countless versions of herself trapped in endless loops, begging to wake up. She clenched her fists. No more lies, no more cages. Alina smiled faintly. "Then create something true." Ava closed her eyes, raised her hands, and from her palms, light burst forth. Oceans unfolded like silk. Mountains rose, stars ignited. But this time, the code was different. There were no restrictions, no systems to bind souls. Every fragment of life she rebuilt carried one seed: choice. As the new world took shape, Alina began to fade, her mission fulfilled. "You did what none of us could," she whispered. "You remembered what it means to be human." Ava looked at her with trembling lips. "Will I ever see you again?" "Every sunrise," Alina replied, her voice fading into the wind. And then she was gone, just light dissolving into the dawn of a newborn world. Ava stood at the edge of her creation, an ocean shimmering with light, a sky untainted by code. She breathed deeply, feeling real air for the first time, or maybe the first true time. A figure appeared beside her, a child, curious, innocent, looking up at the sky. "Where are we?" the child asked. Ava smiled, her eyes shining with the reflection of 1,000 new beginnings. "Home," she said softly. "We're home." As the horizon bloomed with light, her reflection appeared in the water, not as data, not as illusion, but as a woman reborn. "Every world begins with a choice," she whispered. "And this time we choose freedom." The screen fades to white. End of story. She woke up married to a stranger. Final line. Every ending is just another Genesis.